Hello, today we're talking about volume of cylinders. The cylinder is a three-dimensional figure. It has a base of a circle. It has a height. So here's the base of the circle. And then this is the height of the cylinder. You'll notice that the area of a circle, if you'll remember, is pi times radius squared. And your radius is always found here. It's always from the center point out to the edge. Sometimes you'll see a diameter which goes all the way across, and we know that radius is half of the diameter. So the volume for a cylinder is found by finding the area of the base times the height, or volume is pi times radius squared times height of the cylinder. Okay. Modeling the volume of a cylinder says a cylinder is a three-dimensional figure that has two congruent circular bases that lie in parallel planes. The volume of a three-dimensional figure is the number of cubic units needed to fill the space taken up by the solid figure. 1 cube represents 1 cubic unit of volume. You can develop the formula for the volume of a cylinder using an empty soup can or other cylindrical container. First, remove one of the bases. And so remember they said it is a three-dimensional that has two circular bases. So there's one at the bottom and one at the top, and they are parallel to each other. Now, if we take one of the tops off this soup can, and we have, say we have a bunch of these little cubes, and we take their centimeter cubes in a single layer, we'll put them in at the bottom, fit as many as we can, and then how many cubes are in this layer. So we have 3, 2, 7, 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, 9, 9, 7, 7, and 3. Add them all up and we get 61. To find out how many layers would fit in the cylinder, let's make a stack of cubes along one side inside that cylinder. And so they show you that down here. And you'll see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's 12 layers will fit. So there's 12 layers. How can you use what you know to find the approximate number of cubes in this cylinder? Well, if I know that one layer has 61, so this has 61, and there's 12 layers, what would I do? And if you said multiply, that's correct. So you're going to take 61 times 12, and that's going to give us 732. Suppose you know the area of the base of the cylinder and the height of the cylinder. Can you find the cylinder's volume? So if we know the area of the base and we know the height of the cylinder, can we find the volume? Yes. So if we take the area of the base, and so we're going to let that be B, and the height of the cylinder, and that's going to be our cursive H, that's going to give me our volume. So volume equals area of the base times height of the prism. So now we're going to start using this information. This is again the volume formula for a cylinder. We have area of the base times the height of the prism, or we can just take pi times radius squared times the height of the prism, or in this case cylinder. Alright, so let's go ahead and see what they did here for example 1a. They want us to find the volume of each cylinder and round the answers to the nearest tenth if necessary. And they're wanting us to use 3.14 for pi. So I have this cylinder, and it has a base that has a radius of 3. And then I have the height of the cylinder is 10 inches. So I'm going to label these. So this is my height, and this is my radius. So if I know that the area of a circle is pi r squared, we're going to use 3.14 for pi. Our radius is 3, so we're going to have 3 squared. and then the height of the cylinder is 10. We're going to multiply all this. So we have 3.14 times 9 times 10, and that gives us 286.6. And they would have rounded, because if I take 3.14, times 9 times 10, I get exactly 282.6. By using this for pi, there's less rounding, but always make sure that when you're looking to round, that you're rounding to the nearest tenth. Okay, let's take a look at example B. It says this is a cylinder laid on its side, and they show us that in one of the bases that there is a diameter of 6.4 centimeters. I do know that the radius is half of that, and that's what I need for my formula. So if the diameter is 6.4, my radius is going to be half of that at 3.2. Again, they want us to use 3.14 for pi, so we're going to take pi, 3.14, times the radius squared, 3.2 squared, times the height of the cylinder, and this is the height of the cylinder, so this is the height. And when I multiply all of those, I get 418. This here means it's approximately or about this. It doesn't mean that it is exact. And that is because pi is an irrational number, and so there's no way that we can get an exact amount. All right, let's practice. On number 4, we're going to find the volume. We're going to use 3.14, and if we have a decimal, we're going to round to the nearest tenth. So when I look at number 4, and I look at my base, so I have this is my base, and I notice that I have a diameter of 10. So my diameter is 10. Do I need the diameter or do I need the radius? I do need the radius, and so we know that radius is half of the diameter, so half of 10 is 5. The height of the cylinder, how tall it is 6. So I know that I'm going to take and use 3.14 for pi times radius squared times my height. So I'm going to take 3.14 times 25, because that's what 5 squared is, times 6, and that gives me 471 cubic inches. It's cubic because it's volume. Okay, take a look at number 5. Do I have a radius or do I have a diameter? I do have a radius, so I have a radius of 4. The height of the cylinder is 12, and so I'm going to use 3.14 times my radius squared times my height. 4 squared is 16, so 3.14 times 16 times 12. It gives me 602.88. It did tell us to round to the nearest tenth if necessary. So I'm going to take this 8, look at this 8, and it's telling it to round up. So 602.9 cubic feet. All right. In a real-world context, it says the London Longhorn Band at the University of Texas at Austin has one of the world's largest bass drums, known as Big Bertha. Big Bertha has a diameter of 8 feet and is 4.5 feet deep. Find the volume of the drum to the nearest tenth. Use 3.14 for pi. So the first thing we're going to do is find our radius, and we know that the diameter is 8. So divide 8 by 2 and we get 4 feet. So this is my radius. We know that it is 4.5 feet deep, and so the height of my cylinder is 4.5. So now we're going to take pi, which they want us to use 3.14, times my radius squared, and that gives me 16, and times my height of my cylinder, which is 4.5. Multiply all that together, and I get 226 and 800ths, and this was in feet, so cubic feet. We're going to round to nearest tenth, and I get 226.1 cubic feet. All right, so let's do the your turn. A drum company advertises a snare drum that is 4 inches high and 12 inches in diameter. Find the volume of the drum to the nearest tenth. Use 3.14 for pi. So it's giving me a diameter. What's my radius? 6 is my radius, and the height of my cylinder is 4. So now I'm going to take and I'm going to find my 3.14 times 6 squared times 4. So this is 36, so we're going to take 3.14 times 36 times 4, and that's going to give me 452.16. They want us to round to the nearest tenth, so my answer is going to be 452 and 2/10 inches cubed. Find the volume of each figure. Round your answers to the nearest tenth. If necessary, use 3.14 for pi. So I would like for you to do number 6 on your own, and then come back to check the answer. Okay, you should have found that the radius was 11, the height of the cylinder is 1.5, and when you take 3.14 times 11 squared times the height, which is 1.5, you should have gotten 569.91. Rounding it to the nearest tenth makes our answer 569.9 centimeters cubed. Take a look at number 7 and find the volume of that cylinder. You should have found that this cylinder has a radius of 4 and it has a height of 24 inches. When you did the volume, you should have taken 3.14 times 4 squared times 24, and that gives you 1,205 and 76 hundredths. By rounding to the nearest tenth, I get 1,205 and 8/10 cubic inches. Okay, do the same for number 8. You should have found that the radius is 5, the height of the cylinder is 16, and that the when you take 3.14 times 5 squared times 16, you get 1,256, and so therefore the volume of this cylinder is 1,256 cubic meters. Do the same for number 9, please. For this one, you should have noticed that it had a diameter of 10, so that means the radius is half of that at 5, and the height of the cylinder is at 12. So I take 3.14 times 5 squared times 12, and you get 942 cubic inches. Okay, do number 10. On number 10, you should have noticed that there was a radius of 4 and a height of the cylinder was 40. So you take 3.14 times 4 squared times 40, you get 2,009 and 6/10 cubic centimeters. Last one, take a look at number 11. A cylinder has a radius of 8 meters and a height of 4 meters. Find the volume. You should have taken note that the radius was 8, the height of the cylinder is 4. 3.14 times 8 squared times 4 is 803.84. The answer, if rounded to the nearest tenth, is 803 and 8/10 cubic meters. This one's a little different. It says a pan for baking French bread is shaped like half a cylinder. It is 12 inches long and 3.5 inches in diameter. What is the volume of the uncooked dough that would fill this pan? And you'll notice that it's half of a cylinder. So to find half of a cylinder, we would need to find the volume of the complete cylinder and then divide that in half. So find the volume if this was a complete cylinder. Alright, I took note that I have a diameter of 3.5 inches, and I divided that in half, and I got my radius, which is 1 75/100ths of an inch. Then I have the height of this cylinder would have been 12, so I take 3.14 times 1.75 squared times 12, and I got 65 94/100ths of cubic inches. But remember, this is like half of a cylinder, so I need to divide this by 2, and 65.94 divided by 2 is 32.97. And if I were to round it to the nearest tenth, then it would be 33 cubic inches. Round your answer to the nearest tenth if necessary, and use 3.14 for pi. It says a cylindrical giant ocean tank at New England Aquarium in Boston is 24 feet deep and has a radius of 18.8 feet. Find the volume of the tank. So identify your radius, identify your height of the cylinder, and then find the volume of the tank. Don't forget to round to the nearest tenth. So I identified that the radius is 18.8 feet. The height of that cylinder is 24 feet. So I took 3.14 times 18.8 squared times 24, and I get 26,635.2 cubic feet. If you have any questions about how to find the volume of a cylinder, please make sure you speak with your teacher. Thank you.